The game will focus on the central part of Japan, the Kansai, for those who know a little bit more, which will cover the city of Kyoto, the city of Osaka, and then the northern and southern coastlines of Japan. We wanted to have a much more realistic proportion to our world, so mountains feeling like mountains, forests feeling a little bit bigger. So the Portuguese got here a few years before our time period, and they're expanding. We're in a very important page of history in Japan because Japan is weakened by clan wars. The unification of Japan through Oda Nobunaga is also something to prevent Japan falling to the hands of foreign interests. So Oda Nobunaga, he's known as the first unifier. Ultimately, he says that he wants peace, for Japan. On the other side, who is facing him or who is, suffering that peace, I would say. The aftermath of the war will have our main character, Naoe, try to convince herself that she's not on a vengeance path against Oda, and she made a promise to her father that she wants to fulfill. So the promise will take her across the world, and she will see that they're not the only one that suffered from war, and that Oda is not the only one that gained from war.
You survived the fall of Iga. Not many of our neighbors did.
The assassins have been in Japan for a little bit of a longer time, and we'll discover why, and we'll discover how, and we'll discover how it's tied to Naoe as she goes through her adventure. Obviously, if you say that the assassins were in Japan, the Templars were probably in Japan as well, and we will see how they emerge from that. So Yasuke is a very interesting character. He comes in as with the Jesuit, and then he will be offered an opportunity to join Oda Nobunaga. As he ventures into the world, Yasuke is always confronted to different situations, and he tries to analyze them from, what's the just thing to do. Yasuke comes from the outside, so he knows about Japan a little bit, but he doesn't know everything about Japan. As an example, Yasuke will always be polite with no bulls, he always do the right steps in presentation and all that, and now we will just jump in, half bow to stuff, and just, he could insult somebody that you shouldn't be insulting.
He's tired of teaching children with no other virtue than their name.
Yes, she's a young, naive person, but she's very brash and very confident. But later in the game, when she starts to meet important people who, in the social hierarchy, would be way above her, she needs to treat them with deference and respect, but is she doing it authentically, or is she doing it to get what she wants? And that subtlety is something I think we really try to focus on. We want the audience to understand when Naoe is faking it and when she's being really authentically deferent to someone. It's all very focused on their eye performance as well as their facial performance. And in doing so, we've really kind of changed the way a lot of these cutscenes feel. And when these characters talk, you want to listen because you need to pay attention on what exactly they're looking at, right? Our style is very much inspired by traditional Japanese films in terms of their storytelling, but the film techniques are a little bit more modern. Originally, we went looking, we found the Samurai Trilogy by Hiroshi Inagaki, which is from the 50s. The camera was very motivated, it was constantly moving, and they used whip pans and crash zooms, techniques that nowadays are considered a little passé, but are very modern techniques. And I think I was very interested in seeing how we could use that in our game.
As the story will unfold, there are a few surprises that we want to really keep for our fans that are very important. One of them that I'll just hint towards is that Yasuke's story is not necessarily what it seems to be at the start. So there are different things that will come with Yasuke's story. And Naoe's story, it will be a discovery for her of what her family was, who were really her parents. So that's something that will be very important to the heart of the game.
How do you feel?
Calmer. Lighter.
That happens when you empty your head of the past. You see the world for what it is now.